In most cultures, death is seen as a sorrowful end, a period, a full stop to a life story. It's often viewed as a tragedy, a painful separation that leaves an unfillable void in the hearts of those left behind. A thief that leaves us with grief and silence, stealing away a presence that can never be replaced. The silence that follows is deafening, a constant reminder of the absence. We mourn, build monuments, and speak of loss as a final separation, erecting stone memorials to remember those who have departed, clinging to memories as a way to keep them alive. We tell stories, share anecdotes, and try to encapsulate a lifetime within the confines of a eulogy. But what if death is not an ending, but a magnificent beginning? What if the sorrow we feel is simply a misunderstanding of a grander cosmic design? What if the transition we call death is merely a doorway to a higher state of being? This is the Sufi vision, a perspective that challenges conventional notions of life and death, offering a radically different interpretation of what it means to pass from this world to the next. For Sufis, death is not a tragedy but a joyous occasion called Urs, a celebration of reunion, a homecoming of the soul. It's a moment of profound, spiritual significance marked not by mourning but by joyful remembrance, meaning wedding in Arabic, a term that encapsulates the essence of this spiritual understanding. It's the soul's return to its divine beloved, the ultimate merging with the source of all creation, a reunion longed for throughout a lifetime. A sacred union after a lifetime of longing, a culmination of spiritual yearning and devotion. It's the end of separation and the beginning of eternal togetherness. Imagine a lover finally reuniting with their beloved after years apart. The joy, the relief, the overwhelming sense of completeness. For Sufis, life is that separation, and death is the long-awaited reunion, the moment when the soul finally finds its way back to its origin. The body is a temporary vessel, a fragile container holding the precious soul within, a dwelling place for a finite time. Death breaks the cage, freeing the soul to fly home, releasing it from the limitations of the physical world, and allowing it to soar into the infinite expanse of divine love. This is the wedding night, the Shab-e Aras, a night of celebration, of union, of ultimate fulfillment. The ultimate consummation of a divine love story, the merging of the individual soul with the universal spirit. Sufis acknowledge the pain of separation. The human experience of loss and grief is not denied or dismissed, but their underlying emotion is joy for the departed soul, a recognition that they have embarked on the most profound and beautiful journey imaginable. The one who has passed has fulfilled their purpose, completed their earthly sojourn, and achieved the ultimate goal of spiritual union, and returned to infinite love and peace, a state of perfect harmony and eternal bliss. Excessive mourning, they believe, is a sign of attachment to the material world, a clinging to the temporary rather than embracing the eternal. Misunderstands the reality of what's occurred, failing to recognize the soul's liberation and triumphant return. Instead, Sufis celebrate with music, poetry and dance, expressing their joy and gratitude for the soul's journey, honoring the soul's journey home, acknowledging its successful completion of the earthly cycle. Death, in this light, is not darkness but the dawn of union, the radiant sunrise that follows a long night of separation. It's a farewell, yes, a temporary parting from the physical realm, but also a homecoming, a joyous return to the source from which we all originate, a reunion with the divine beloved. The Sufi view of death grew from the very heart of Islamic spirituality, a perspective deeply intertwined with love, longing, and the ultimate reunion with the divine. It's a vision that seeks to understand death not as an end, but as a profound transition, rooted in the Quranic idea that the soul comes from God and ultimately returns to God. This foundational belief is the cornerstone of the Sufi understanding of existence, emphasizing the cyclical nature of life and the soul's eternal journey. Sufis infuse this belief with the language of love, transforming the concept of death into a deeply personal and intimate experience. They saw the relationship between the soul and the divine as one of profound affection and yearning, seeing the soul's journey as a lover's longing for the beloved. This longing fuels the soul's ascent, driving it closer to its ultimate source and purpose. The whirling dervishes with their mesmerizing dance symbolize this very journey. Early Sufis like Rabia al-Adawiyya, a towering figure in Sufi history, spoke of loving God beyond fear or reward, focusing on inner devotion and selfless adoration. Her teachings emphasized the purity of love, devoid of any expectation or self-interest. The material world was seen as a veil, a temporary illusion that obscures the true reality of the divine presence. Life was perceived as a test and a preparation for the ultimate reunion with the beloved, a journey of purification and spiritual growth. Each experience, each challenge, was an opportunity to draw closer to the divine. Every prayer, every act of kindness, and every moment of contemplation was a step back to the soul's true home, a conscious effort to shed the veils of illusion. Death became the final threshold, the ultimate passage, not annihilation but transformation, a liberation from the constraints of the physical world, a return to eternal love, a merging with the divine source from which the soul originated. This belief offered profound comfort, turning the fear of mortality into a hopeful anticipation of union, a joyous homecoming. Sufi saints' tombs became places of celebration, vibrant centers of remembrance and spiritual connection, not sorrow, but joyous commemoration. Pilgrims gather to honor the saints' eternal life, seeking blessings and drawing inspiration from their example of devotion and spiritual attainment. These shrines are seen as gateways, liminal spaces where the veil between the earthly and the divine realms is particularly thin, allowing for a deeper connection with the spiritual world. The Sufi tradition reframes death not as a defeat, but as the soul's triumphant homecoming, a victorious return to its origin. It's a transformative vision that turns loss into celebration, offering a profound understanding of life, death, and the eternal journey of the soul. No one captured the Sufi view of death more beautifully, more poetically, than Rumi. His verses resonate across centuries, offering solace and a profound understanding of what lies beyond the veil. He transformed the perception of death from one of fear and sorrow to one of anticipation and joyous reunion. For him, death was not a dreaded end, but a welcome messenger from the beloved, a divine invitation to return to the source. It was a bridge, not a barrier, connecting the earthly realm with the eternal. Death, in Rumi's eyes, is not an end but the beginning of true life, a liberation from the limitations of the physical world. It's the moment the drop merges back into the ocean, losing its individual identity to become one with the vastness of the divine. In his famous poem filled with wisdom and gentle urging, Rumi invites us to reconsider our grief. When you see my coffin being carried, don't cry, he's gone. Don't succumb to despair at the sight of my earthly departure. Death is not a separation but a coming together, a reunion with the divine, a merging of the soul with its origin. It's the culmination of a lifelong journey of love and devotion. The grave, he says, is not a prison, a final confinement, but a curtain, a mere veil, hiding a heavenly celebration, a joyous occasion beyond our earthly comprehension. Rumi, in his profound understanding, called his death my wedding with eternity, Shabi Aras, the night of union. This powerful metaphor transformed mourning into celebration, shifting the focus from loss to the ultimate gain. The soul's merging with God is the ultimate joy, the culmination of a spiritual quest, the fulfillment of a divine promise. Life, in this perspective, is a precious chance to polish the heart, to refine our inner being, to purify ourselves so we can reflect the divine light with increasing clarity. Death then is when the polished mirror finally faces the sun directly, without any obstruction, filled with the full radiance of divine love and wisdom. What seems like an ending, a final goodbye, is actually a sunrise, a glorious dawn, a new, glorious existence free from the limitations of the material world, bathed in eternal light. Rumi's words invite us to see death not as a final destination but as a return, a homecoming, not a loss, but a liberation. The soul, once freed from its earthly constraints, finally finds its true home, its eternal abode. For Rumi, death is not to be feared, but embraced as the long-awaited, the deeply desired union with the beloved. Rumi's vision is echoed by generations of Sufi masters. Bahauddin Naqshband taught that a life of inner devotion leads to a seamless, joyful transition at death. For the true lover of God, death is not feared but welcomed, like a traveler finally reaching home. Abdul Qadir Jilani described death as shedding a coarse garment to reveal the luminous spirit within. The Sufi, detached from worldly things, leaves this world lightly and joyfully. The concept of fana, annihilation of the ego, prepares the Sufi for this transition. Die before you die means letting go of the false self while alive, so physical death is just the final step. The drop dissolves into the ocean, the ego melts into the infinite beloved. Death is not an end, but an expansion into eternal being. For Sufis, it is the soul's ultimate liberation. The Urs festival is the most vivid expression of the Sufi view of death. Held at saints' shrines, Urs is a vibrant, joyous celebration, never a somber memorial. Devotees gather to honor the saint's union with God, believing the saint is eternally alive in the divine presence. Offerings of flowers and chaddars decorate the tomb, while prayers and music fill the air. Qawwali, the ecstatic Sufi music, is central. Its rhythms and poetry induce spiritual ecstasy. The festival is marked by generosity. Free food is shared with all, breaking social barriers. Urs is a living testament to love, service, and the soul's eternal journey. It transforms grief into communal joy. The path to God, Sufis say, is paved with celebration. Death becomes a festival of love. The Sema, or whirling dance of the Mevlevi order, is a moving prayer embodying union with the divine. Inspired by Rumi, the whirling reflects the cosmic dance of creation. Every element is symbolic. The hat is the ego's tombstone, the white skirt its shroud. Removing the black cloak marks spiritual rebirth. As the dervish turns, he enacts dying before death, shedding attachments and ego. The right hand raised to heaven, left hand to earth, the dervish becomes a conduit for divine grace. Spinning around the heart, he journeys inward and outward, dissolving the self in God. The goal is wajd, spiritual ecstasy, a taste of the union death will make permanent. The Sema is preparation for the final wedding night. It's a ritual of surrender, joy, and return. Life itself becomes a dance toward union. The celebration of death as a wedding takes unique forms across cultures. In Turkey, Rumi's Shabi Aras in Konya draws thousands for Sema ceremonies, poetry, and music, an international festival of spiritual joy. The city becomes a living tribute to Rumi's teachings on union with the divine. In Pakistan, Urs festivals at saints' shrines are major events, drawing millions. The Urs of Data Ganj Bakhsh in Lahore and Shah Abdul Latif Bhittai in Sindh blend music, poetry, and communal spirit. Qawwali music and trance-like dances like Damal fill the air with devotion and ecstasy. These festivals are vibrant expressions of folk spirituality, where all are welcome. The heart of each celebration is the saint's union with the beloved. Across regions, the message is the same. Death is a joyous homecoming. Sufi traditions turn mourning into music and love. Across the Islamic world, saintly death is celebrated with unique local color. In Morocco, Muslims blend devotion with Berber and Arab festivities, music, processions, and markets. Nawa musicians use hypnotic rhythms to induce ecstatic connection with the divine. In Egypt, the Moulid of Sayyid al-Badawi draws millions for a week of spiritual gatherings and dhikr. These festivals reinforce community and spiritual renewal. Even in quieter funerals, chanting praises shifts focus from grief to remembrance. The soul's return to its creator is honored, not feared. From Turkey's whirling to Morocco's trance music, all celebrate the soul's wedding with the divine. Each tradition is a dialect of the same language, love and reunion. Death, for Sufis, is a living celebration. For modern seekers, the Sufi celebration of death offers a healing perspective. Death as a wedding is not denial of sorrow, but affirmation of a greater joy and purpose. Life becomes a courtship, every moment a preparation for union with the beloved. The Sufi path is about living with love, compassion, and constant awareness of the divine. The heart is central, cleansed and polished to reflect God's light. Music, poetry, and dance awaken the heart's capacity for love and ecstasy. The path to the divine is not just intellectual but deeply felt. Celebrating death as a wedding is a radical act of faith and love. It declares that love is stronger than death, and the soul's journey is sacred. The message, live with love, see life as sacred, and greet the final horizon with joy. The Sufi vision of death as a wedding night is a guide for living with purpose. It transforms fear into longing, reminding us our true self is the eternal soul, not the ego. By longing for our origin, fear of death dissolves. Sufis practice remembrance, making every moment a celebration of the divine. Dhikr, music, poetry, and dance awaken the heart, turning life into worship. Beauty and love are spiritual tools, inviting us to find God in what moves us. This tradition offers hope. The universe is benevolent, our journey sacred, our destination infinite love. Death is not the end, but the climactic chapter of a divine romance. The lover is finally united with the beloved. For seekers, this is the ultimate good news. Live fully, love deeply, and walk toward the horizon with a heart full of song.